So
yeah. What about all the fuss about the Lekki tolling? How's that going since you live in that axis?
Lekki tolling, another drama, another Babatala thing. You know, there was so much noise from the Occupy Lekki group before the tolling. It had been announced months ago that tolling will commence 18th of December, and those who were opposed to it, you know, made so much noise about how they will stop the tolling and what have you and all of that. And on that day, I particularly drove on that road to see what was going to happen.
The journalist in you?
Exactly, you know. And I saw the people, I stayed with them for a couple of minutes before I drove off, you know, to where I was headed. And then only for me to hear later about some of the other unpleasant things that happened, you know. But my own position is if you know, the tolling must go on, if it must go on, what we need to first and foremost be interested in is the contract, the contract itself. Nobody has seen the contract among everyone that's talking.
Well, I think Ebun did. Ebun said he saw the contract.
Yeah,
Ebun, that is.
Ebun should make it, you know, the Lagos State government should feel free to let the people have it, put it in public space. You know, it shouldn't be a secret. Let people verify how those figures were arrived at, because there must have been a systematic scientific process of arriving at those figures. I'm sure the 120, 150 naira was not arbitrarily determined.
Yes.
It wasn't arbitrarily fixed. It must have been arrived at through a rigorous process of scientific evaluation and what have you. I think.
Yeah, but some people are saying 120 is a bit untidy. Why not just 100?
Or why not just 200 naira?
Well, why not 100? Let's start from there, you know.
Well, those are questions that I think that will have been raised, because remember that Governor Fashola had engagements with some of the groups opposed to this tolling last year. That's why it was suspended. I think those are the issues that must have been raised. I want to know how those issues were addressed. Among other things, there's also this issue about having an alternative route, which I think...
That seems to be the biggest of the issues, actually.
Yes, and the government seems to be indicating that they've made provisions for alternative routes. There are some routes that they claim to be alternative, but those are private roads, actually. They are not Lagos State government roads. They are local government roads, to the best of my own understanding. I may be wrong, but they are not alternative routes. They are not the kind of alternative routes that people are clamoring for. And an alternative route that can only take two cars, one coming, one going, to me, is like being cheeky, you know, being cheeky. But I'm watching the entire drama. I'm on neither side. I'm just watching, I'm looking at the government, and I'm seeing some truth and some dishonesty from the government, and from some of those opposed to it, I'm seeing some truth and some dishonesty, and I'm just sitting back and trying to take in the whole thing. But some person out there will say, Femi, you need to take a stand, you are a resident. But I also need to tell them, I'm also a journalist, and I'm supposed to be objective. I'm supposed to look at issues from an objective point of view. Those who are saying, oh, they only added one lane on their side, they are being dishonest.
Yeah, but from my objective position, LCC spent some money expanding that road, and they need
to recoup their money. They are businessmen.
Full stop.
All these people were alive.
I mean, they're not charity.
Exactly, and the PPP agreement was not conducted in secrecy. It was widely publicized at the time. All these people were alive at that time. They needed to have asked questions and demanded answers immediately to see whether they should stop it at the time. Because people part of the dishonesty that I say I'm seeing is those who are opposed to it, when they say, oh, they only added one lane here, one lane there, and
even half a lane costs money.
They are pretending to have a short memory. All of us knew how long it took to move from Bonicamp to the law school just 5 years ago. Sometimes it would take you as many as 5 hours, a 3-minute drive. And today, you just drive through in less than 1 minute. If the traffic light doesn't stop you, you're out of there. So it's not a justification, though, for undue exploitation, but
is it exploitation?
If it is established. If it is established, that is exploitation.
Okay.
If it is established, it's not a justification, but it is justified to toll that route, because it was widely publicized at the time that we will go into public-private partnership. Nobody complained, as to the best of my knowledge. And then contracts were signed. And if you are going to rescind or review the contract, there has to be a process. It's not going to be arbitrarily done. And that's how I think those who are opposed to the issue fight their battle, not, going to the toll gate. SEC really has no problem, with... if you want to stop the contract, there are, I'm sure there will be exit clauses.
Oh, of course. And I don't know if you saw the MD of LCC on Daily, on one of the days during the week, and he said, well, that's a very attractive option for him.
because they will buy him off, and he will have his money in chunk
no time
and
at
walk
all.
off, which
And walk away.
which is better for an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
You know, than waiting for 10, 20 years to recoup your money.
So Lagos State isn't about to back out of that agreement.
I don't think so.
I promise you.
I don't think so. But just a little word of advice for the LCC. I don't know if they'll be listening to me. They don't seem to be interested in listening to anybody from outside. That's the impression I have. I may be wrong though. Is that they should have abroad. What they have is some tolling booths. They have it dedicated to exact fares. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the reasons why we have the congestion at the toll points, at the tolling points, is because people go there with 1,000 naira and you have to wait for your change naturally. Yeah. But if they dedicate some booths to exact fares, and only those who have exact fares can use those routes, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 booths per lane, you'll find many more people going there with the exact fare, so that they won't waste time and move on. And then those of you who are going with 1,000 naira will know that you have to queue. You know.
But I think it's better for most people to get those chips on their cars. You know, those
ultimately that's where they're
those
going.
Computer things,
exactly.
And so you just drive through, and the thing records
and it opens and you go through.
Yeah.
I think ultimately that's where they're going. But I still think that there can be some flexibility to accommodate the views, genuine views expressed by those who are opposed to it now. Some are actually genuine, and the government really should look at what they're saying and see if there's a way they can accommodate it with respect to the contract presently that binds the LCC with Lagos State government and the Lekki Ajah people.
And the population is growing in that sector,
exactly.
So there'll be more people using the toll gates. I'm sure that what they estimated when the contract was signed is not the number of people who are using that road now. The number is swelling by the day, so they stand to make more money. Who knows, the fees may even come down. Who knows?
Exactly.
Come down. Does anything come down in Nigeria?
Yeah.
Good question.